folks. I've got so many questions going around my head right now, and I'm not sure whether I might like the answer if I got it. But the big question I've got going through my head is, why is it since we joined Europe that we have lost most of our industry in this country? Our fishing rights have been taken away from us, our agriculture has suffered, even household names like Cadbury's and HP Sauce have gone. Recently, of course, we have seen what took place with Bombardier. So, I have to conclude, as I'm sure a good many people are, that Europe has not benefited this country one little bit. We're swamped by immigrants. Some of them obviously may have benefited us, but many have not. We could be forgiven if we believed that there is a conspiracy to destroy England, especially Christian England. I wonder if anybody else out there thinks this way. European countries have never been able to beat us on the battlefield, but the reality is that we are now being ruled by Europe, and we have to jump to their tune. And a question that goes through my mind is, how has it all happened? But here's the big question. Why are the Labour Party and the Conservative Party complicit to our national industrial destruction? Common sense tells me that they must be, because now they have a chance of holding a referendum on the whole issue of whether we should stay in Europe or leave. And David Cameron has resorted to threatening his MPs to vote no for a referendum. So David Cameron clearly does not want this referendum to happen. I ask myself the question, why? What is David Cameron getting out of this? Why does he not want us to be a self-governing country like we've always been for hundreds of years? There has to be some personal gain in all of this somewhere for the politicians, because they're certainly not thinking of their country at this time, but only of their careers. I wonder, when England is gone and our culture has been assassinated, how will they live with themselves? Or will they even care? There's only a thin line of difference between a bloody dictatorship, such as we saw with Colonel Gaddafi, and a benign dictatorship, such as we have in our country. Dictatorship is when the ruler says, you will do what I want, I will not allow dissension, or else. That's dictatorship. Is that not what we have in our country? Isn't that what is happening to Africa when they are told, accept gay rights or lose all the aid that we give to you? Isn't that what is happening when by stealth they are trying to sexualize primary school children using graphic images to do so? To the Bible-believing Christian, of course, we know what is happening to our country and to our world. It was foretold many years ago in the Bible. Psalm 2 explains that a time would come when the nations of the world would gather against God and his Messiah. Psalm 2 begins by saying, why do the nations conspire and the people plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up and the rulers band together against the Lord and against his anointed one, saying, let us break their chains and throw off their shackles. There are so many descriptions, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, of what will happen in the last days of man's rule. But everything centres around this conspiracy against God and his Messiah that is mentioned in Psalm 2. And that is exactly what we are seeing in our country and in our world today. The New Testament refers to it as being the kingdom of the Antichrist. And everything we see happening today certainly smells of a build-up for that Antichrist spirit. The Bible, speaking about the Antichrist, says when he comes he will change times and seasons. Are you aware that already they're getting rid of BC, before Christ, and AD, which means year of our Lord? And in exchange they're talking now about BCE, before Common Era, and ACE, after Common Era. No one seems to know what this Common Era is, but so what? It substitutes for before Christ and after Christ. What does this tell you, folks? What goes through your mind when you hear these things? I watched a celebration of Diwali on the BBC News a few nights ago, and how everybody was speaking well of it, the interviewers and the cameramen and so on, and it was all a very good incident. And other religious festivals are encouraged. But Christmas is considered to be offensive. You can wear a burqa to work, but you cannot wear a cross. Isn't this the Antichrist spirit? I want to tell you, folks, it's time for Christians to wake up. Something very sinister is knocking at the door, and it's time that we realised it. The big question is, what are we doing about it? You know, how can Christians continue to vote for those who are trying to undermine Christianity and its core values? Whether you vote Conservative or Labour makes no difference. You will have a dictatorship that seems utterly committed to getting rid of Christian values. I think Christians in England should be doing a lot of thinking right now. I think we need to get our heads out of the sand and get involved in our society. It's time the church opened its mouth and disagreed with these governments. My advice is, be very wise before you cast another vote for any of these parties. I'm not being anti-political, I'm being pro-Christian. Ask yourself this question: do I want myself or my children to be dictated to like this? Or do I want to choose decency for myself and my children? And these are the things that we need to be working out in our mind and thinking, what can I do about it? Have a good week, folks. Think about these things. God bless. Bye for now.